In today's first episode of the Snapshot Stories podcast, we are going to dive deep into the Sepia Gate scandal that has stormed the internet in the past few days.
Imagine delivering photos to us of the night before our welcome party, like this, okay? Like this. But then get delivered photos of your wedding day and you look like this. Like, can someone explain to me what this is? And love this photo. But why are we full sepia tones? Why do I kind of look like I have a little bit of a bruise on my face when it's supposed to be contour and blush? And then why is the sky gray? I mean, it was overcast a little bit, but at the same time, it wasn't that gray. And the ocean is gray. And then I also sent her this image where, if you could tell, my dad's eyes are like this and Mike's eyes is like this. Every image that is shot in this moment, everyone's eyes are squinty like this. If it's too sunny, change our location. And let me give you another example. This was someone took this picture on their iPhone, but look how gorgeous the color of my mom's dress is, okay? It's this beautiful pink, stunning. And this is the color that she turned it into. It's gorgeous, it's fine, but she wasn't wearing coral. You know what I mean? Why change this, why put your edits to change the entire, coloring of things? I don't understand. I don't know if you're curious. There's an ocean there. That is an ocean. But no, it looks gray.
After what started with one video of the bride publishing a complaint via TikTok through a video while she was complaining about the kind of images she received from Hannah Wise, who was her wedding photographer, she was branded the Sepia Bride. And that name took off. You can just Google right away on any social media platform, Sepia Bride, including Reddit, and you'll be amazed at how many people are referring to this bride as the Sepia Bride, which is quite interesting. And let's dive deep into the story that unfolded, which is something that no photographer would love to be a part of, especially if you're going viral for the negative reasons. So let me quickly give you the background of the story and how the drama unfolded. First, the bride booked this wedding photographer, and she's called Hannah Wise. You can just check it on her website. You can see her work so that you get a rough idea of what exactly made this particular bride raise her concerns.
When you met with your past client, everything like that, did you when you did your consultation and you talked to her, did you ever send her a full gallery of images that she could check out, that she could see your work and get an accurate representation of, what you do, your editing style?
Right. Yes, I did send one full gallery. Definitely was a gallery that I was super proud of, was super on brand with my style. And she also did look at galleries on my website as well. So she reached out initially asking for a gallery, and then she also said, oh, actually I found some on your website as well. So she did see multiple. Yeah.
You see, the whole idea of consulting with the bride before they book you as their wedding photographer, first they need to check your portfolio. If they're impressed with your portfolio, then they need to secure a consultation date or a consultation video or a phone call with you so that you can go through your editing process, your photography process, and all that gist or jazz, if you may. Before they even book you, at least they have a rough idea of what they're going to get from you as their wedding photographer. In this particular case, the whole process was followed to the letter. Both parties had an agreement, and the bride decided to book this particular wedding photographer based on her style. So that's very key. You need to underline that somewhere so that you understand where this whole drama is coming from. The photographer's style is that sepia tone, which is the greens are slightly faded. They don't really look as green as you'd see with your own natural eyes. Already we are establishing that the photographer has this golden kind of vibe with her style, which personally I think is dope because that's her unique style, and she has been booking weddings, booking destination weddings, elopements from her particular style, and she's standing out from the rest of the crowd. And personally, I don't think it makes sense if we all deliver same type of images or a certain standard of images. These weddings will all look similar. however, how much we try different angles, different perspectives, at least having your own unique style as a wedding photographer makes you stand out from the rest. So I'm establishing this because I just want to understand both sides. I don't want to be biased with my argument, but to be honest, I'll kind of lean towards more the photographer because I genuinely think the bride was being dishonest. And the first time she got her wedding photos, she was jazzed. Really, really jazzed. And here is what the photographer said about her experience with the bride. This is an exclusive interview done by the vendor table, and this is an excerpt of what the photographer said. Have a listen.
Yes, 100%. I did send a pricing package guide, and then that was prior to booking. And then I also sent, like I said, the full gallery. And then obviously there's my website, Instagram. I know there's been a lot of discussion around what to use as your reference for booking a photographer. But yes, I did provide multiple forms of communication, I guess, just showing my style. And then I also sent a wedding guide after booking that was about 30 pages with photos on every page, explaining, or virtually every page, explaining how to plan your wedding, tips and stuff like that. But again, had a lot of my photos, a lot of my editing. So yes.
So she was made fully aware of your editing style. She saw like your work. She saw everything of how you produce your photography, like your editing style. So she shouldn't have been surprised by the look and feel, right?
Right. Yes. I mean, I have a pretty distinct style, obviously. I know that there's with the more true to color style kind of trending right now. I feel like it's honestly it's not to say that you won't know what you're going to get. I mean, I definitely think there's consistency even with that, but obviously even more so with a preset, I think. And with just, like I said, just more edited look, there's going to be even more opportunity for consistency, in my opinion, because you're kind of, like I said, editing photos to look really similar. So.
Gotcha.
Now that you've listened to that portion of the exclusive interview, let's dive deep and look at the photographer's portfolio on Instagram and also on her website so that you can establish and understand what exactly her style is. When you book Hannah Weiss, there's a particular style you're going to receive. And this applies to all photographers. When you book any photographer, be it the best photographer in the world or the average photographer, even in your local area, the photographer you book has a unique style, as long as they are professional photographers. Here is what Hannah Weiss' style is, and you can clearly see she has this golden vibe going on. And apparently, initially the bride was super happy about the results when she got her wedding gallery from the photographer. And then all of a sudden, the following day and that night, she started having concerns when she took a deeper look at the gallery. So this already raises a lot of questions, because how on earth would you book me based on my style? And then when I deliver to my style, delivering to your expectation, because obviously you saw my portfolio, out of nowhere now, I become the bad guy, or I become the unprofessional who didn't deliver to your expectation, yet you booked my services based on my style, which you saw, and you saw full galleries, and you appreciated my work before you booked me. And then all of a sudden, after we've done documenting your wedding, all the tables turn. So that is suspicious. I don't really think these TikTok videos are really have a genuine agenda, to be honest. Personally, I think the bride just wants to go viral and trend and amass a huge following and seek sympathy from people, because it doesn't make sense if, for example, I'm a groom and I have a bride. We are looking to book a wedding photographer. And then the wedding photographer shows us his or her portfolio. We love what they do. We love the portraits they take. Maybe they use prime lenses. Maybe they use wide lenses. Maybe they have a huge headspace, or whatever you wanna call it. Maybe their photos, they incorporate the the landscape more. So when you book such a particular photographer, to be honest, what do you expect? You expect that particular photographer to deliver to that standard that they showcased to you when you are doing your consultation.
Mom's blinking or my dad's squinting or something like that, where we have to, you know, make corrections, or maybe like, you know, we picked the wrong photo out of the batch, like, and, you know, have to do a head swap or something. So very common. That's something that happens to all of us. You started communicating with her, you know, like, feeling her concerns, obviously. Is that when you started making tweaks and changes? Did you start like making a lot of tweaks and changes to the images that she was requesting, like the simple changes?
Yes, there was definitely a few things I would be 100% willing to do, just to make a client happy. And, you know, I'm not going to just whip out, you need to pay me for every little thing, of course. But it did get to the point where I was like, this is going to be a lot of photos to make little changes to or tweak, etc. And obviously, you know, that's a lot of work. So I did charge her my hourly rate at that point.
Listening to the interview, personally, I believe the photographer, Hannah Weiss, went above and beyond to deliver to the client's expectation. But it seems as though the bride had other motives because she wasn't satisfied. And actually, she requested for raw photos, which obviously the photographer took some time before delivering a few raw photos. And then later on, still the bride was not satisfied. So she requested for the full gallery of the whole wedding in raw photos. She requested for raw photos of the full gallery, which in my view is kind of strange because nobody really wants to see raw photos except the photographer or the editors or retouchers. Let me just explain to you what a raw photo really is in the perspective of a wedding photographer or even a portrait photographer or anyone who is in this media space and understands whether raw videos or raw photos, they understand the concept. So let me just explain quickly what raw photos really mean so that even if you're watching this podcast and you're a bride, you'd really understand what exactly it means when you ask a photographer for raw photos. First of all, to be honest, regardless of which camera that was used to create those images, raw photos don't really look good, especially if they are delivered that way. To start off, a raw photo is uncompressed, unprocessed. It looks kind of dull and pale because it is uncompressed and unprocessed. That's why hence the name raw. Unlike the JPEG counterparts, when they come straight out of the camera, JPEGs are processed in camera. So this simply means they can be used outside the camera and they can also be printed. The reason why JPEGs come processed out of the camera is because the whole concept about it is to reduce the file size. When it comes to raw photos or raw files, that is the language you use as photographers, these photos, the raw photos, they require post-processing and editing or retouching in professional editing software like Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop and similar software that meet those standards of editing raw photos so that they can be processed, edited, and retouched to enable those photos to have a particular look or style. And once they've been edited, they can now be shared online, digitally, or they can be used to make print products.
Was she, upset with the coloring of the images with you? Like, did she get upset with like the overall toning, or like you have a very golden style? So did she ever get upset with the toning of the images that she wanted that to be completely changed?
Right. No, not in the beginning at all. There was never any coming back and saying, these are too warm, these are too golden. There was never any verbiage like that. The main thing that she was concerned about with editing was just her makeup. She really wanted these. There was a few photos of just her, and I think maybe one of her and Mike as well. So there definitely were photos of her, maybe a few with her and Mike, where she said, my makeup doesn't really look how I feel like it looked in real life. My hair is looking a little bit redder than it looked in real life, etc. And she wanted tweaks to her hair and makeup. So that is when I said, sure, I will fix that for you. Like I will obviously endeavor to fix that for you. And so I did go about enhancing her makeup. I did not, there has been speculation that I photoshopped makeup on, or I don't know exactly what people think that we do in editing. But it was really just a matter of like saturation sliders, color, stuff like that, just trying to enhance things that maybe she felt were a little bit dull. So I did do that thinking that is what she wanted. I came back with those images. She said, this isn't what I want. Can I have the raws? So for those specific images, mostly of her. And at that point, that's when I was like, okay, I don't think, I thought that I did what you wanted. I don't know if we're going to meet a mutual agreement on your makeup specifically for this. So obviously we as photographers never, ever give out raws, but it was just a moment where I thought, you know what, this will make the client happy. I'll do this for you. So
in this second segment of this episode, let's discuss how a photographer can prevent a similar situation like the Sepia Bride scandal from happening in the future. The first thing you need to do is communication and expectations. Clearly and effectively communicate to your brides, especially during the consultation call or the first client meeting. And this is normally what I usually call the vetting process. You're vetting the bride or the couple, whether they're a good match for your brand before you book them as your clients. This will prevent a lot of weird situations from happening when you engage yourself in super clear and crisp communication, managing expectations. They need to go through your portfolio so that they can understand your style, your process, your editing. And you need to have these discussions with your clients so that you can gauge and see where they stand and also how you feel or how they perceive your work and how you perceive them as a potential couple that you're going to work with. You need to have those conversations upfront before even the wedding has been booked. Once you do that, in your contract, set clear expectations of how you're going to edit those photos, of your turnaround time, of your editing style, of your process, and also have a clause in your wedding contract or any photography contract that clearly speaks about you either delivering or not delivering raw photos. And in a scenario where the client insists on having those raw files, the amount they need to top up so that they can have access, and also have this in writing in a separate contract that clearly outlines the principles or the clause that clearly outlines the conditions and terms of them having access to your raw files. Because you could find in a scenario whereby a client has raw files, they take full ownership of those raw files. They can even use that photo in a commercial or sell it to an agency that deals with commercials. And you would be surprised seeing your own photo in a television advert or even social media adverts. And you wonder, how did your photos get to those people? And you're not consulted, you're not paid for damages or even paid for your work. Because as a photographer, you own the copyrights to the photo. You are the author of those photos. So giving out your raw photos, personally, I don't share out my raw photos. And it is very clear in my own contracts that I'm not going to deliver raw photos. Also in your communication, have a clause that clearly speaks about any additional changes or any rounds of editing that are going to be done, so that you can be compensated for that, or you can have an amicable agreement with your client in regards to that particular clause. By the end of the day, as a wedding and portrait photographer, my main goal is to make my clients happy. That is what most, if not all, wedding and portrait photographers, even a photographer who is dealing with the model, they normally want the best outcome from that situation. I don't think there's any professional photographer who loves what they do would want a similar scenario like this Sepia Bride scandal, where you find your client or even your model in a scenario whereby you're doing those personal projects. You find a model or a client doesn't really like the final product. It's kind of degrading in a way. It's kind of disheartening. You kind of feel like it takes energy from you. Personally, I believe in this particular scandal or in this particular scenario, the photographer had genuine intentions. And you see, even before she was requested to do this particular interview, she had decided to go silent on this matter because she didn't want to portray a persona whereby she's kind of like taking advantage of the situation to go viral. She tried to go silent about it, but at least it's good she did this particular interview with the Vendor List podcast so that at least we can also hear her side of the story, compare and analyze, and then come up with an approach that is fair for both parties involved.
Photos and started asking for the raw photos. Now, did you send raw photos to her so that she could take a look or, use them at her discretion?
Yes, I did. After a little bit of back and forth with her, I came to the place where I just kind of realized we weren't going to reach a mutual place on the editing, specifically just for her makeup and a little bit of her hair, I believe, as well. She asked for the raws. That was something that she brought up first, and I gave it some thought. I definitely didn't want it to be something, again, with ego, which I have heard a lot this past week, where I wouldn't give her just a few photos over needing it to be my finished work. I obviously never expected the raws that I did give her to go where they have gone. So definitely gave those raws with a lot of trust, just wanting to make her happy. So yes, I did give probably about 7 to 10 raws to her.
To avoid a similar scenario like the Sepia scandal, the next thing you need to consider is flexibility and adaptability. During the wedding day, the shooting scenario could be different from what you're used to shooting. The weather could be super gloomy, it could be stormy, obviously not stormy like literally, but it could be totally different from what you're used to. So have that in mind. The lighting could be not the same as what you normally experience when you do weddings. So have that in mind and adapt based on those scenarios, including the posing and many different factors, including the outfits or even the location. The wedding venue could affect even the way the photos will come out. So have that in mind and adapt accordingly so that you can at least match your style and deliver and take photos that are going to be appreciated by your bride and groom and deliver to their satisfaction. That's the whole point of taking amazing portraits for your bride and groom, to genuinely appreciate what you've done and to love their wedding photos, because it is the only memory they're left with after the wedding has ended. The food is going to be eaten. People will eat all the food. The flowers will die. The decor will be dismantled. The garden will be swept clean like nothing ever happened in that venue. The next day when you go there, you will be surprised. You see just green lush garden and you wonder, is this the same venue that yesterday's wedding took place? So everything else will vanish. But the only thing the bride and the groom remains with is those special moments from their wedding day. So you need to adapt and be flexible, especially during that particular day. Another way to show your flexibility is offer the couple to do a pre-wedding photo shoot so that you can gauge their vibe during the pre-wedding photo shoot and also deliver those photos before the wedding day and get feedback from them and understand what exactly they love and dislike, so that during the wedding day, you capture to their satisfaction. And also, when you're doing the final edits, at least you know these type of edits are going to make the couple happy and you're not going to have a back and forth negative scenario like this particular one that happened between Hannah Weiss and her bride, Alexandria. There are many creative ways you can do this. You can include a discounted pre-wedding photoshoot session for your couple so that at least you can have this beforehand. gauge their vibe during the shoot. At least they get used to you, so that during the wedding day, there's no that awkward moment you're trying to learn each other. At least they know your vibe. They are comfortable with you. They love your vibe, your energy. When you say something, they laugh or giggle because they understand that's how you take amazing photos. And also when you deliver, at least they have an experience of the type of photos you deliver or how you deliver those photos. They're going to be happy, definitely. Or in most scenarios, because just a side note, I was shocked and really surprised to see some people on social media and also some fellow photographers, they have thumbnail on their YouTube videos when they're addressing this particular viral story. And the viral and those thumbnails were like Bridezilla. Those names made me laugh terribly because I was like, ooh, Bridezilla. But anyways, that was a side note. In this flexibility segment, be open to make reasonable edits that meet the client's preferences. This comes a long way in making the client happy. By the end of the day, the client wants to feel taken good care of, and they want to feel heard. Almost all my couples or my brides, they end up recommending me to their friends because my main concern when I'm about to book any client, my number one priority is making sure they have the best client experience. Because you see, by the end of the day, there are many talented photographers like me. There are some even who are better than me or better than you and I. One of the things that will genuinely make you stand out from the rest is genuinely doing your best to give your couple or your client the best client experience. That one you're going to stand out. I've had terrible experiences, especially when you're dealing with service providers. In many other scenarios, there's a time I was trying to book a dude who does dreadlocks. He's a loctician. So I was trying to book him so that they can retouch my dreads. At the time I had a weird, kind of funny hairstyle. So I needed to do retouch. And this particular individual, I got their number online. I called them. I could tell from their tone, I didn't even book them because the client experience, even that first consultation call, was terrible. I kind of felt like I'm forcing this dude to tell me how I can schedule an appointment at their salon or barbershop so that I can go there. Because normally when I go to my barber, I normally book him in advance. And his process is very simple. He sends me a link or I go to his Instagram handle. I check the link, click, book, call him. Hey bro, how are you? You good? I've scheduled my appointment on this particular date, this particular time. And he tells me, okay bro, see you then. Cheers. Simple, efficient, effective. But you see, this particular dude, I'm calling him, hey bro, how are you? How can I? It was my first time experience with him. And he does really good job. To be honest, he's one of the best, especially here in East Africa, in terms of doing the dreadlocks and all. To me, I was like, no, I can't offer you my money when even the first consultation call is terrible. You're talking as if I'm forcing you to talk. Your energy is low. It's like I'm disturbing you. Have you ever had an experience with an ex or an ex-partner whom you don't really want to talk to? Do you know how you respond to them? You're like, it's like you're asking yourself, why on earth are you calling? So that is the kind of experience I got from this particular service provider. I know I've diverted from the main story, but I'm just giving you a scenario that has happened recently, actually this week when I'm making this video. I wanted to go do retouch and change things a little bit, but the experience was terrible. Client experience for me, and I know that is a similar scenario to most couples or most people who want to book services and who want to enjoy services that are being delivered to them. And you see, we are in a wedding and portrait industry, which is slightly delicate, especially when it comes to photos. So you really need to up your game and look for ways, creative ways, how you can improve that client experience, make your brides feel comfortable, your grooms feel confident in you. Because you see, for us men, the biggest turn off when you look at a service provider, if you kind of feel they're not confident in themselves, you just tell your partner, hey, no, my babe, this one, no, he's not confident in what he's doing. And when it comes to the ladies, they want to feel that they have been heard. They want to feel that you're taking good care of them. You're just being genuinely involved. You care about their needs. You care about their requests. You listen to what they need. You just engage with them, listen to their story. All they want to know is, but Vin listens. He hears what I'm saying. That will guarantee you most referrals. That is in my own personal experience, so I don't know about you. Maybe you could let me know in the comment section down below. Feel free to interact so that I can at least understand how you guys also feel about this situation. And if you've ever had a similar experience, let me know in the comment section below and we can continue interacting further, especially in regards to this topic and generally in wedding and portrait photography industry. The next thing you need to consider is client education. Educate your clients on factors like weather, lighting conditions, location. Educate them on how those factors could affect how an image is perceived or even taken, so that at least they can have clear expectations of what they're going to get for their wedding photos or even portrait photos. You could be doing a family photo shoot or even a couple engagement photo shoot, or a destination wedding. So have that communication effectively, set expectations, educate your clients, take them through. If in the case of Hannah Weiss, you can clearly hear she sent wedding guides to her client.
Her edit, was it anywhere near your golden style, or is it like true to color? Like, because that's what we've been seeing is like she edited more like a true to color tone.
Right. So the image that she has posted in her TikTok is the image that she sent me. It is the side by side of her standing, and obviously her edit is, I would say, light and airy. Obviously, styles are, to put one word on any specific style isn't really the best, but I would say it was more of a light and airy, true to color, like saturated greens, etc. So definitely very different than my style. So I was pretty shocked.
You obviously have a very distinct style, and when you were showed those images that she edited that were raws that she turned into edited JPEGs, obviously not representative anywhere of your style and what you produce. So when they asked for the raws and they wanted to receive all the raws back and everything like that, did you and you eventually, you said you're going to think about it and you were going to talk about this and think things through and get back to them. And did you reply to them like you would send them the raws at any point, like the full gallery of raws? And if so, like, were you going to charge them for those raws?
So yes, after that phone call, I thought it over and just kind of really took some time to think through the situation and obviously what would make them happy, what would be in line with my contract and the way that I do business. And I decided that I could offer them the raws for $3,000, or I could offer them the copyright for $4,000. My contract is clear that no raws should be given any time, no exceptions. But obviously, I wanted to go above and beyond for her. I wanted her to be happy, and that was my way of kind of meeting them in the middle. Was to even really put the raws on the table. So
in that wedding guide, her style is there. You can see images from her recent weddings. You can see her style there being represented the same way it has been represented on Instagram and on her website. And she sent that to this particular client who, by the way, has gone really viral. The videos have millions of views. Generally speaking, I don't really know the intentions of the bride, especially when she decided to blow it out to the media and the public. I kind of feel like there's a hidden agenda, especially I don't feel the intention is genuine. I personally feel like she's throwing someone under the bus so that she can rise and become famous on social media. That is my conclusion, because I'm trying to understand both sides. They could have sat down, sort this out amicably, or even engage a third party who could mediate on their behalf, or even involve their lawyers, who at least they can have mediation before it reaches a level whereby you expose someone online. At least a level of human decency comes a long way, to be honest. I think what the bride did is unfair. I'm not saying she's evil, but I'm just simply saying what she did is unfair. She could have just looked for ways to resolve this and even ask for a refund then. In the worst case scenario, at least she could have asked for a refund if she was genuinely dissatisfied with the photos. At least we can start from somewhere, but you're trying to force a photographer to go against a contract to which you both agreed on. The photographer went above and beyond to make you happy, but still you went ahead to expose them. That is my whole point. Like, what's going on? Here in Africa, we call it kiki. Like, you're creating a scandal so that you can trend and get deals, sponsorships, get fame and followers. Kiki is a Swahili name for, in other words, it simply means you creating a scandal out of thin air, or a scandal that shouldn't be a scandal, so that you get all the attention from everyone, you get followers, engagement, likes, so that your account can grow or explode. And mostly here in Africa, when it happens, let's say, for example, you're a music artist. You create a scandal with a competitor or even your colleague. You agree to create a scandal because you are about to release a big project. And once you have that traction, that engagement in your platforms, when you drop that project, let's say if it's a music video or a short film, or even a documentary for us creators and photographers and filmmakers alike, once you create that scandal or drama, it kind of boosts the engagement on the project that you're releasing. But you see, for this particular case, the only conclusion I can have is she's doing so that she can have followers and more viewers and more engagement, so that her page can just explode and grow.
Whether or not her Instagram is showing that it's her editing style or not, okay? This photo over here with my eyes sunken in and I look like I have a black eye. Please explain to me how a photographer thought that looks good. Once I got the raw image, I turned it into this, okay, myself. I even had to go into Photoshop, and I'm not a photographer and I'm not good at Photoshop either. I learned how to use Photoshop and I circled my eyes and I made my eyes brighter. It's the simple things like that. There's only maybe 10 pictures of solo bride, me. And she couldn't make sure that that my eyes didn't look like I got punched in like a black eye. You know what I mean? So there is something to do with editing style and versus the Instagram. However, there's also something about delivering photos to your customer that makes sure that specific person looks good. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look like she has a black eye.
Even you can see from the tone of the photographer, even by watching the interview. And I'll link the full interview in the description down below so that you can watch and get the perspective of the photographer. Because all you've been seeing on social media is the bride's perspective. So at least by watching the photographer's perspective, you'll be able to make an accurate, intelligent conclusion and a logical conclusion by yourself, without my influence or any other photographer's influence who has made a similar video. So the final thing you need to do to avoid a similar situation, document everything. All communications, all engagements, go back and forth just to confirm, make sure the communication is clear, have that in writing, have both parties sign off, especially for the final bunch of photos that has been selected by the couple or you, have the client sign off that they are in agreement of what you have selected or what they have selected as their final bunch of photos, so that when you go ahead to edit them and deliver those photos, there won't be a scenario like this particular scenario. I'm not saying these things happen on a daily, but that one moment when it happens, it catches you off guard. You can see now this particular photographer, it caught her off guard. And there's a potential risk of whereby her brand could be ruined. But at least I'm happy that most people in her community and even potential brides are wishing her well. They're giving her positive messages, at least encouraging her. And also, funny thing, Also, the bride who raised this scandal, she's receiving the same. So there are two sides to this coin. At least the photographer as well received messages of encouragement, because it could be super discouraging, especially when you're trying to do your best to make your clients happy. And then even on social media, when a scandal has been broken out of proportion, or just someone intentionally wants to ruin your name so that they can build theirs or go viral or whatever. In a similar scenario, it could be so disheartening and discouraging when you find that nobody's on your side. So at least most photographers have come out, even on YouTube. I've seen a couple of videos. They're trying to break down the scenario, and most people are siding with the photographer, including myself, because I can imagine what she was going through even before she came on the Vendor List podcast. So yeah, that's it for today's first episode of Snapshot Stories. And we are starting off on a high. So hopefully we're going to keep the tempo high, and hopefully we're going to have interactive and also have guests come on board and share their stories and create amazing videos for you guys and amazing podcasts. You can consume them on all podcast platforms in the world, and also here on YouTube you can watch them live. So stay tuned.